Good morning, everyone. Let me introduce my PhD thesis about investigations of influencing factors on the fit of ceramic restorations. My name is Adrienn, and I'm a dentist at the Department of Prosthodontics. My supervisor is Yvette Roth, and my SMSs are Kata Kelemen and Bianca Guazio. My vision is to offer patients the highest level of precision and accuracy, ensuring optimal oral health and satisfaction, and my mission is to deliver evidence-based recommendations to dental professionals. Here you can see my two ongoing projects, from which the first one is the impact of finish line design on the adaptation of ceramic restorations. This is a systematic review and a network meta-analysis. Ceramic crowns are extensively utilized in dentistry because of their outstanding aesthetic and excellent biocompatibility. The fit of this indirect restoration is increasingly important for long-term success. Biological failure of fixed prosthodontics is between 85 and 93%. Inadequate marginal and internal fit can lead to microleakage that can lead to caries, pulp infection, or even endodontic treatment, or gingival inflammation and periodontitis. The type of finish line design is the most critical factor affecting the marginal adaptation. So our aim is to investigating the different finish line designs on ceramic restorations. Our clinical question is there a difference between preparation designs regarding marginal and internal fit? Our population is the ceramic restorations, and we have 4 intervention and comparators: the chamfer, the rounded shoulder, the shoulder, and the vertical edge finish line. And our outcome is the marginal and the internal fit in micrometer. Our null hypothesis is there is no difference between the preparation designs regarding the marginal and internal fit, and our clinical and research implication is to help clinicians to make a proper selection of finish line design and to educate students with evidence-based knowledge and practice. We have conducted our systematic search in December 2023 in 4 major databases with the following search key. After the selection process, I have 47 eligible full texts. We have, all of our analyses are finished, but due to the lack of time, I will present you just a few of them. So our 3 main outcomes. The first one is the marginal gap, which is a perpendicular measurement from the internal surface of the restoration to the preparation butt at the margin. The second is the absolute marginal discrepancy, which is the angular combination of this marginal gap and the extension error, so the overextension or the underextension. And the internal gap, which is the perpendicular measurement between the axial wall of the prepared tooth and the inner surface of the produced restoration. The clinically acceptable range for the marginal gap is between 50 to 120 micrometer, and for the internal gap it's between 200 and 300, and the suggested cement film thickness is between 50 to 100 micrometer. So our first outcome was the marginal gap. On the left top corner, you can see our network plot. The orange circles represent the 4 types of finish lines. The size of the circles represent the numbers of the crowns. The lines represent the comparisons, and the numbers on the lines represent the numbers of the studies. We have 25 in vitro studies in this analysis, 21 two-armed and 4 multi-armed, with more than 1,000 crowns. On the top right corner, you can see our Sukra plot. The Sukra value is a range from 0 to 100%, and the higher the Sukra value, the more likelihood that the therapy is in the top rank or one of the top ranks. In this case, the rounded shoulder finish line designs get the best results. And on the bottom, you can see our leak heat plot, which represents the relative effectiveness of these therapies. If we compare the rounded shoulder with the vertical, the chamfer, or the shoulder finish line, we can see that the mean differences is between 5 to 8 micrometer, which is clinically not highly relevant and statistically not significant. Our second outcome was the absolute marginal discrepancy. We have 8 in vitro studies with more than 300 crowns, and we can see that the rounded shoulder also get the best results, but we haven't found a statistically significant difference neither. And our third outcome was the internal gap. We have 12 in vitro studies with almost 400 crowns. And in this case, the more minimal invasive preparation designs, so the chamfer and the vertical preparation get the best results. And we can find a statistically significant difference between the chamfer and the rounded shoulder finish line. It was 30 micrometer. However, it was still in the clinically acceptable range. So the strength of our study is that this is the first network meta-analysis about this topic, with direct and indirect comparisons, and these articles were included with the highest evidence and with a variety of outcomes. However, there's a high heterogeneity in the population, and only a few articles investigated all the different interventions. So our main conclusion is that ceramic restorations with rounded shoulder finish lines exhibited the best marginal fit, absolute marginal discrepancy, and a clinically acceptable internal fit. However, all the 4 finish lines produce marginal and internal adaptation within the range of clinically acceptable values. The implication for practice is that the findings gathered from this NMA serve as an informative tool for dentists that all the finish line designs we investigated produce marginal and internal adaptation within clinically acceptable ranges. So dentists must choose the preparation designs regarding the clinical situation. However, the rounded shoulder finish lines, we can achieve it with, for the best marginal adaptation. The implication for research is that well-designed multi-arm studies are needed with direct comparisons, and future studies need a standardized methodology and a standardized measurement points and locations. And micro-CT is suggested for the future investigations because it's high accuracy and spatial resolution. And we need a standardized threshold as well. So this is my first project progress. I finished with my manuscript and I submitted to the Journal of Evidence-Based Dental Practice, which is a D1 journal with a 4.1 impact factor. My second topic is investigating the effect of wax butter manufacturing techniques on the fit of fixed restorations. So the main goal of the fixed restoration is the close adaptation of the crown to the prepared tooth. Metal ceramic crowns and full ceramic crowns are the most commonly used materials for fabricating a full coverage restoration. The first step to fabricate a pressed ceramic or a cast metal restoration is to make an anatomical wax pattern. Then we have to invest and burn out the wax to get the negative layout of this pattern. And then we either have to press the ceramic material or pour the metal alloy to this cavity. So fabrication of this wax pattern is a critical step for the long-time success of the final restoration. Conventionally, this wax pattern made manually by a dental technician. However, it has many human-related factors. But with the development of technology, there are different kinds of CAD/CAM manufacturing techniques, for example, the milling or the 3D printing one. So we would like to know with which method we can achieve the best fit for the final restoration. So our aim is to investigating the different manufacturing techniques for fixed restorations. Our clinical question is there a difference between manufacturing techniques of wax pattern regarding marginal and internal fit? Our population was the wax pattern, and we have 3 different kinds of intervention and comparator: the conventional, the milled, and the 3D printed one. And our outcome is the same as in the first project, so the marginal and the internal fit in micrometer. We hypothesized that the CAD/CAM manufacturing will decrease the marginal and the internal fit of this fixed restoration. And this is our clinical and research implication as well. We have conducted our systematic search in September in 3 databases with the following search key. And after the selection process, I have 42. And after the reference site and citation chasing, I have +7 eligible full texts. I finished with the full text selection and the data extraction as well, and I have sent it to the statisticians. So thank you very much for your attention. And let me finish this presentation with the words of Richard Dawkins, that science is the poetry of reality. Thank you very much.
Your first study suggests that any type of crown preparation would be okay in a dental office.
Yes, these were in vitro studies, so it's not in vivos. So I hope that in the future there will be standardized in vivo studies as well. But in vitro cases, yes, it's still in the clinically acceptable ranges. So it depends on the situation. For example, the anatomical situation of the crown, or what kind of tooth we want to prepare. For example, in the lower front areas, a more minimal invasive preparation could be better to save the tooth structure and to avoid endodontic treatment and something like that. I would like to express, yes.
Is there a strong correlation between plaque retention and cone type?
There were studies that where they haven't found, but I think it depends on the dentist as well. So how prepared and the learning curve of the preparation as well. But I don't think so that there's a huge difference between that. So it depends on the patient.
You mentioned that the studies investigated more than 1,000 crown. What was the material of these crown? Was it the same metal ceramic or maybe zirconia? If they weren't the same, can it be a cause of heterogeneity as well?
Yes, so in the first studies there were only full coverage ceramic restorations, so there were no ceramic fused to metal restorations. But yes, there are different kind of materials. We know that there are different brands and different type of ceramics. So yes, this is one of the limitations, that there's a high heterogeneity in the population. And unfortunately, we can't make subgroups based on that because there are huge range. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just still thinking about the first study, and what do you think about vertical preparation? Because I expected that the marginal discrepancy, not the marginal gap, but the marginal discrepancy should be much higher than for any kind of shoulder preparation, because of the marginal discrepancy. You measure the outside, the largest distance, and I wonder that these articles ever mentioned about the fracture resistance of the margin, because if you make a very thick margin and there is a minimal thickness of any ceramic restoration, then you increase the marginal discrepancy.
So for the first question, it was interesting for me as well, but the marginal discrepancy was almost the same as in the horizontal preparation, but it was interesting for me as well. And for the second question, it was about the fracture, and there were meta-analyses about the fractures, and they described that with these very high-strength materials that we use today, and as these studies were published in the last 2 or 3 years with the vertical preparation, there were no big difference in the fracture, but it was interesting for me as well, because I thought the same thing as you.
Was there any manual adjustment during this?
Yes, and we would like to make subgroups based on that, but there were many studies that didn't describe that there were or there were not.